Hello, so we're going to have a wee race here. So I'm going to pick the Aston Martin car. I think that's a better looking one. So if I'm going to be Aston Martin, of course you have to be Fernando Alonso. Unless you're Canadian, of course, then I would imagine you go for Lance Stroll. Which begs the question, is Lance Stroll that big of a deal in Canada? Answers on a postcard, please. So we've picked the Mexico track, and I've gone for the extreme difficulty. I'm going to go for the hard tires here on the lowest setting, simply because if you go for the softer tires on the higher setting, it's still just a tad too easy for my liking. So hard tires on the slowest setting just makes it that bit more challenging. So the race has started, and as is the case, regardless, you always get a good start on FX Racer. But here I am behind Russell, and then the extreme difficulty kind of kicks in the gear. So, and you usually find that on the straights, such as this, the AI can pull out a bit of a gap. So your best bet really is to get them in the corners, as I've done with Russell there. So behind Sainz, so let's see what happens here. No chance of an overtake there. So as I said, your best chance really to get the AI on the extreme difficulty is in the cornering. That's where you can be that bit faster. So I think I'm going up the inside. That was pretty clean, so all well and good there. So we're behind Leclerc now, trying to chase him down. So the goal here really was, seeing as I'm on the slower tyres, on the slower setting, I don't really fancy my chances of doing any more overtaking for the rest of this lap. So it's really just to try and get into the DRS zone once we get on to the main straight. Because you usually find that, and I've exceeded track limits there. It's always very easy to do in this game. But yep, so we're on the street here, and the DRS, yep, it's activated. So that's your best bet really of keeping within touching distance of the AI in this game. Because if they break the DRS gap, then they can pull away pretty swiftly. But thankfully not in this case. So side by side with Leclerc on the outside. Don't think it's going to happen here. Nope. So probably try and get it done in the next corner or two. So up the inside, no doing there. So we're going to go up the inside now. Yep, there we go. And a touch, which is unfortunate. Absolutely unintentional on my part. The space was there to go on the inside, and I tried to keep it as tight as I could on the inside, but unfortunately there was a bit of contact and it's forced Leclerc off the track. So as I said, completely unintentional on my part. I do try to keep it as clean as possible. So we're behind Norris now, and I've gone onto the grass here, and so I think that's going to not do my chances of getting in the DRS any good. And it hasn't happened. So they'll pull out a bit of a gap here. So it's going to take a bit of work. Oh, there's the Ferrari and the Mercedes right on my tail. So to try and get back within the DRS zone, it's going to take a bit of work, especially on these tires on this setting. I've still kept it on the lowest setting for now. Just again, just try to make it a bit of a challenge. Broken track limits again there. Like I said, very, very easy to do. And before you know it, you'll be getting 5-10 second penalties galore. But in fairness to this game, the AI are just as susceptible to the track limits violations. Because you usually find that like there have been instances in the past where I've finished maybe second or third in the race. But turns out after all that I've won it, because the AI have had just as many AI violations. So at least there is a bit of consistency in that respect. So I've gone purple in the middle sector, which you'll see in this video is a bit of a is a bit of a recurring thing For some reason, I just seem to do a pretty good middle sector in this lap. So, still not in the DRS, and I'm still quite a bit slower than the guys ahead. Like I'm just over a second slower than Piastri, who's in the lead. So, as I said at the very start, the best bet really is to try and make up the time in the corners. Really, that always seems to be a bit of a disadvantage that the AI have, because once you get right on their tail in the corners, you do find that the opportunity for passing and overtaking becomes more of a thing, really, as opposed to getting them in the straights, unless you're in the DRS. So the main goal here at the minute is trying not to exceed track limits, otherwise I'll get hit with a 5-second penalty. So this is where we're at currently. I still think I'm looking at this. I still think I'm a bit too far behind to make up any advantage of getting into the DRS zone. Just looking at that, don't really see it happening on this lap. We'll see anyway. Like, I'm not terribly far behind. Nope, DRS still not activated. But I think that was a slower lap than the previous one, so I'm still over a second down on Piastri, who's in the lead. But I am fractionally up on Norris and Perez ahead. So this part of the race is probably going to be a bit on the quiet side, really, because all I can do really is just try and make up the time in the corners. Now I do seem to have gotten a bit closer to Norris this time around. So if I can keep the gap consistent, I think I can make it back in the last few corners to get into the DRS. Now, as I've said before, I've stayed on the lowest setting on these tires. Again, purple in the middle sector again. For some reason, I don't know why. I can't seem to do it that consistently in the first and third sector, but the second sector seems to be my strongest. So still a wee bit down on Norris here, but you know what? I might just get into the DRS. We'll see what happens here. Yep, activated. So that's what I needed. So you'll notice I'm closing a bit. I'm closing fractionally, but you'll see that once I break into the first corner, once we get into the second corner, the second turn, then there you go, I'm right on him, and that could have been a pretty nasty collision there, and could have just given me some more work to do, but alas, thankfully not. So I think now that I'm on the tail of Norris, I think I can stick with him. So the goal here really is, if there's no opportunities for passing in the corners, then I'll get him in. I'll get him in the straight, providing that I have DRS. Could be an opportunity here. Oh, yep, got it. And he's still on track, so can't have too many complaints about that. Hopefully. So we're on the tail of Perez now. He's got the home crowd on his side. He's not doing too well this season, unfortunately. Started off pretty well as you'd expect in the second Red Bull. What was it? He had 3 second places and then just completely tailed off. Now, in fairness, the last few races for Red Bull in general haven't been great. What was it? 2 5th places and a 4th place for Verstappen. So for the last 3 races, he hasn't even been on the podium. So definitely a car issue there. Have I got him? Yes, I got him. So we're in the third. Oh, but he's gone off track there. Again, completely unintentional on my part. I do try to keep it as clean as possible. So the goal now really is to set after Verstappen. So I don't think we'll be seeing Perez on the podium for this race in front of the home crowd. Don't get me wrong, I do really like Perez. I do think he's an excellent driver, but I don't know what it is. He just can't seem to kick his arse in the gear um, since halfway through last season. I dare say the race at Miami last year couldn't have done much to his confidence. It's pretty obvious that it's pretty obvious that the Red Bull don't particularly want him to win. You know, Verstappen is the golden boy, and that's understandable. You know, he is the superior driver. But there you go. It is what it is. So on to the straight here, and yep. So I've decided a bit of a change of plan, because if I keep on the way I'm going here, especially with no DRS for the foreseeable, I'm not going to be gaining much ground on the two ahead. So I've had to put the tires on the Haas setting, except the last one, because I usually find that on the last setting, if I keep it at 2, it just gives the tires a bit more life, really, so I can maybe squeeze another lap out of them before I pit for a new set of tires. So on the Haas setting, again, I should hopefully be making up ground now. So I've gone purple in the first sector. So let's see what I do in the second sector, which has been my strong point in this race thus far. If I can pull out a bit of a gap ahead of Norris, and there you go again, purple in the second sector. So we could be potentially on for the fastest lap so far in this race. But the main thing really is to just try and gain as much ground as I can to Verstappen and Piastri before we get into the pit stops, because the likelihood is by the time I pit, they'll come out ahead. But hopefully with some fresher tires on my side, I can make it more of a race towards the end. So we'll see how we get on here. So at this point, it's all about just trying to gain ground, and just try and do some qualifying laps. So let's see if we can make up a bit of ground. I think I'm pulling out a bit of a gap to Norris, who's just behind me, and I've exceeded track limits again there. That's the 4th time. So I'm already on a 5-second penalty, which is definitely not a good thing. Could do without it. But what will be interesting by the end of the race will be, have any of the AI succumb to any penalties as well, which could potentially work in our favour. But what we'll need to do first of all is pull out a bit of a gap between ourselves and Norris just behind. I think this is going to be won or lost, mainly in the pit stops and the tyre choices and the tyre life that we'll have by the end of the race. So there's Piastri in the pits now, so that should bump me up in the 2nd place. Yep. Verstappen still hasn't pitted yet, so this will be interesting. Okay, they're all seem to be piling in now. There's Leclerc, he's just went into the pits. Hulkenberg, Sargent, the whole lot of them. So I think realistically, as we stand currently, our race is really between ourselves, Verstappen, and Piastri. So, and as you can see there, I have gone fractionally faster than Verstappen. So switching to the higher setting of these hard tires is definitely working. Purple in the middle sector again. I own this middle sector. They should name it after me. Let's see what we can get in the last sector here. Didn't take that corner too well. And there we go, track limits again, number 5. If I see one more time, that's a 10-second penalty. Verstappen in the pits now, so this is where it's going to really matter. This is where I need to start to put in the serious qualifying laps. Because the likelihood is, by the time I even get into the pits, Verstappen will jump ahead of me. Piastri will probably jump ahead of me as well, depending on how fast I can go here. Red in the first sector, but I think that although not the fastest first sector, hopefully it'll still be faster than everyone else, given my tire setting currently. 19% as it stands on the hard tire. There we go, purple in the middle sector again. I don't think I'll need a pit stop at the end of this lap. It'll probably be at the end of the next lap. Yeah, I think I've still got a good bit of life left in there to go for another lap. So this next lap ideally will need to be a bit of a banzai lap. Okay, 1:21. Yeah, not the fastest, but it's faster than those behind me, which is what I need to be doing. There's no expectation that I'll be coming out first. There's my teammate away into the pits as well. I doubt very much he'll be making much of a dent or making much of an impression on this race. At this point, it's all about just trying to get the qualifying lap in, maximising this last lap, which will be the last lap that I'll have on these hard tyres. Down to 10%. Yeah, I should be able to make it back to the pits before they die on me. I'm thinking when I get it into the pits at the end of this lap, probably go on to the medium tyres. I doubt very much that if I go on to the soft or the super soft tyres, they'll last another 8 laps. Another 8 laps. Even on the lowest setting, they can still degrade pretty quickly. So I go for the medium tyres. Went pretty swiftly. Yep, going down to the second setting for these tyres, so still to get a bit of speed going to make up the gap back to the leading pair. But I always find that regardless of how fast I'm able to do a pit stop, regardless of how swift I appear to be doing it, the AI just always seem to be just that bit better. Never have I gone into a pit stop when I've been right on someone else's tail. Never have I gone into that pit stop and come out ahead of the leading car. They always seem to just edge me on that. Maybe they do it, maybe that's just a general thing. Maybe it's the same for everyone. That'll be interesting. Maybe someone else can shed a bit of light on that if they've had similar experiences themselves. But there you go. The game itself, it can't be an absolute cakewalk all the time, can it? But there you go. At this point, it seems that Perez still hasn't made his pit stop. But again, speaking of devil, there he is in now. Looks like he's going for the soft tires. That'll be him pretty much out of the equation now. At this point going forward, it's just trying to chase down Piastri and Verstappen. What will be interesting is on these medium tyres and on the second setting, what my sectors will be like. So I'm still a bit slower in this first sector. This first sector hasn't exactly been my friend in this race thus far. But what about the second sector? Is that them ahead? Yep, looks like it. Way too early in the race to be thinking about lapping cars. There we go, purple in the middle sector. Story of the day, isn't it? Eyes on the prize. Once they're in sight, you don't really see anything else. It's just all about hunting them down. And on a fresher, faster tyre, it definitely does make the difference, particularly in the corners. But even you can see there, despite being on a fresher, faster tyre, they're still able to pull out a bit of a gap on the straight. Their straight line speed just seems to work better for the AI. But that said, look at my lap time there, my last lap, 1 minute 21.26. So that's over a second faster than the both of them. I dare say if I'm able to continue at that rate, then it's only a matter of time, really, before I get past them. If I can do it in the corners without having to rely on DRS, then that's even better. All the while, still being conscious of the fact that I have got a 5-second penalty so far, and I'm only one track limits violation away from getting a 10-second penalty. And it's very much with that in mind that I'm changing my tyre settings to set 3, because clearly I'm anticipating that I'm gonna pass both Piastri and Verstappen sooner rather than later. It's one thing catching them, it's another thing passing them, and it's a whole other thing trying to pull out a gap ahead of them that will at least exceed 5 seconds, providing I don't get any more strikes. So that was a pretty clean move on Piastri. As you can see there, he is still right on my tail. Purple in the first sector, for once. Well, in fairness, that's probably the second or third time that I've gone purple. Nothing compared to the middle sector, of course. There we go, ahead of Verstappen. Yep, grand. I actually thought that I had exceeded track limits on that move. It did seem that I had all 4 tyres up on the curb, but thankfully nothing seemed to get picked up on that. And of course, wasn't that a relief? But that said, there's still time for mistakes to be made. And God knows I've made a lot of mistakes in this race so far. So there's still plenty of time for more mistakes to occur, but hopefully not. As it stands at the minute, I've had 5 track limit warnings, and if that becomes 6, then that's a 10-second penalty. And a 10-second penalty at this stage in the race is far from ideal. With only 4 laps to the end, what's the likelihood that I'll be able to pull out a 10-second gap between now and then? I don't see it. So the goal here really is just to try and keep it as clean as possible. Almost be as conservative as I can with this, but all the while still trying to pull out a gap. Still trying to maybe not go all out in terms of absolute banzai laps, but still trying to force a gap to ensure that I get first place in this race. And who knows, it could all be for nothing, because there's still every chance that the likes of Verstappen, Piastri, maybe they have penalties as well that I don't know about as we stand currently. So here we go, lap 18. 3 more laps. And that last lap, a 1 minute 20.59. Just over a second faster than them both, Verstappen and Piastri. I would imagine at this point, my gap as it stands currently is maybe around about the 3.5 second mark. So if I can, for each lap till the end, pull out a further second each lap, then this should be it in the bag, barring any unwanted mishaps. Purple in the middle sector again. Oh, what can I say? The only concern at this point would be, look at the tyre status, 41%. When I'm on the highest setting, when I'm on the fastest setting. And after this, once we cross the line here, there'll be 2 laps left. That should be okay, really. I still have it in my mind, to be honest. Anytime that I'm on the soft or the super soft tyres, they tend to degrade very, very quickly. Now that said, it is maybe a bit more realistic over the course of these 20 lap races. But you usually find that over the course of, say, a 5 lap or a 10 lap race, they can degrade quite rapidly. But over the course of a 20 lap race, it isn't too bad. But it's not very often that I would do a 20 lap race. When I'm in a championship mode, I would tend to do maybe 3-5 lap races just to get through it as quickly as possible, because I'm impatient like that. Although if anyone is still watching this right to the end, then I applaud you. You have the absolute patience of a saint, which is more than what I can say for myself. So here we go. We're approaching the start finish line. My current fastest lap is a 1:20.25. That lap, as we cross the line, was a 1:21.16. So come on, let's see if I could do better than a 1:20.25. Pretty clean. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. Yep, all pretty clean. What am I like? Still a bit slower in the first sector. I'm perhaps a bit jaded at this point to even have a reasonable attempt at the fastest lap. Well, I think I've already got the fastest lap anyway, but can I go faster than my own personal best? Let's see, sector 2. This has been the sector. Oh no doing there. I've lost it. It's all in vain. Oh well, what can you do? Even if I get a purple last sector here, doubt very much that I'm gonna better the 1:20.25. But here we go, across the line. Let's see what we get. A 1:20.78. But there we go. I've obviously pulled out enough of a gap there to ensure first position. Verstappen second, Piastri third. Yep, so I have my 5-second penalty. Piastri had a 5-second penalty as well. Verstappen didn't have a penalty. My teammate, Stroll, just outside the points at 11th place. But sure, it's not like his position is ever going to be under threat when he has Daddy strolling his money at the helm. Nepotism, innit? And of course a lot of money as well. Nepotism and money get you far in this life. As Lance Stroll is of course proving to all of us these days. Such is the state of the sport. Pit stops hard to the medium on lap 12, both Verstappen and Piastri. Both of them were on the hard tyres for the latter half of the race. So that's what made the difference. Really, that was the advantage of going on to the medium for the latter half. So thank you for watching the video. Hope you found it interesting. Let me know your thoughts and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.